Hello and welcome in. Each week on Wednesday evenings, it's my privilege to host The Victim Paradigm, a part of the Unavoidable reality series where we attempt to have real conversations and shed light on subjects that most of us would rather avoid or simply ignore completely. My name is Evie Zamora, Certified Women's Life Coach and Women's Program Director for Teshuvah Outreach. I specialize in women's issues stemming from childhood abuse and trauma or violence experienced with an intimate partner, and pretty much everything in between. Here's a little background. In the early 1900s, it was referred to as wife beating. In the 70s and 80s, it became the battered women's movement, and soon after called family or domestic violence. Now we call it IPV, an almost happy-sounding euphemism. It stands for intimate partner violence. But whatever the acronym or title, the facts remain the same, folks. We're still seeing an average of 1,500 women killed by an intimate partner, boyfriend, or husband right here in the U.S., and it continues to hold true that more than half are killed after they leave the relationship. Since I'm already talking about some rather controversial issues, I'm going to go a step further and bring in the preborn and abortion, with no disrespect intended. This is a huge issue that we hear something about almost every day, so please bear with me and hear me out. In the past, I've written articles and blog posts over the years on this topic, and not one of them had to do with advocating for the left or right side of abortion. Not that I'm not passionate about these lives, I am. I just believe there's something that goes even deeper that we're failing to address. My advocacy passion lies with what happens to the ones that are saved from abortion to be then neglected, abused, or killed once the child is here. Statistics show that most, and I didn't say all, but the majority of abortions happen because the mother is alone. She isn't married or in a consistent relationship or still lives at home. She's possibly in an abusive relationship or feels it's a bad time for her. She's too young. She wouldn't get to have fun with her friends. She's getting ready to go to college. The family's not approving or supportive of her keeping the baby. Maybe she doesn't have a job or she doesn't know how to support herself and her child alone. Isn't it ironic that all of these women that have had children that die from injuries by their hands or someone in their household are the same women that chose life for their unborn baby? Something's wrong with that. An average of 5 children a day will lose their lives in this country from some form of abusive behavior received from their natural mom, dad, step-parent, or intimate partner when the child was left in their care. We're not talking about a robbery gone bad or an abduction that resulted in a killing by a stranger. Sometimes it's the parents together, and the abuse is usually not a one-time event. Sometimes it's reported as an accident only to be revealed in the autopsy that there were injuries consistent with blunt force trauma, more evidence of healed neck, spine injuries, or broken bones. Once again, I'm not suggesting that abortion is or isn't the answer for people that are in bad or abusive relationships. On a side note, I'd just like to bring up the number of children that are killed in the womb by a partner, husband, boyfriend, or girlfriend deliberately beating, hitting, or kicking her stomach, pushing her into something, or strangulation of a pregnant woman to cause miscarriage or stillbirth of the child. 3/4 of these deaths were in vitro murder, but not by the mother's choice. Is that person that caused the death made to feel worthless, guilty, and charged with murder? I believe that the answer is consistently undocumented and is going to be no, because of the same reasons that we'll discuss soon regarding victim and abuser roles and why this dance works so well. Once again, we know that this is an intense subject and has many faces when it comes to different types of couples, dysfunctional belief systems, and even religious influence. If this is a subject that you're new to and you've not fully been experienced or exposed with any form of domestic violence with a friend, family member, or coworker, that's great. But you probably have and you just didn't realize it. No one brought it to your attention, or you simply didn't know what to do, so you ignored it. Because it's all around us, even in church. I used to attend a mega church in the Dallas area of Texas, and I was in our women's ministry program as a mentor. We had many life groups during the week, and we're always looking to start new groups with like-minded people. During one of my first planning meetings, I suggested a DV group for women, a survivors group for abuse and victims of past violence. And they suggested that I zip it and question why I would possibly think that with 30,000 members across the Metroplex that they could have the need to entertain the idea of having a group like this. They suggested the absurdity of it all. I knew the truth, and I knew a lot of these women, so of course I disagreed to deaf ears. I've more recently been in a smaller congregation that I'd venture to say that at least 1 out of 3 had experienced some type of abuse during childhood, dating, or marriage. That's the statistics of this world. And no one is exclusively void of abuse, whether in a tight-knit group or large gathering of church-going believers. Not even same-sex relationships can boast about that. They have growing numbers of couples that have abuse, violence, and murder going on right alongside opposite-sex couples. And it's equally sad that 2 people proclaiming to be in a relationship with someone that they love and want to have children with and make a home with, instead consume the other person with extreme control and violence, sometimes to the point of death. You may be thinking, not everyone is beaten by the other partner, but sometimes they still feel abused. You're right. Some are merely treated as property, given no human rights at all. Some are humiliated with horrible names, gestures, and put-downs simply to make them feel worthless. Still others are made to do unthinkable things against their will, or even raped. There was a time, before women's rights were recognized, that it was thought that there could not be rape in a marriage, that biblically speaking, our bodies were not our own in a marital bond, and therefore a woman must be readily available to her husband at all times and never be able to refuse sex at any time. And that was why it could not be called rape. Those folks have apparently not read much of the left side of the Bible. Anyway, that's a good topic for another day, but let's put it on the shelf for now. I have a lot to say from working with marital rape victims and survivors, and I want to give it the time needed. Trauma victims of all sorts are a very special group to me that I enjoy working with, whether it stems from childhood abuse, dating, family, or intimate partner violence. I love to be there to watch a woman experience the freedom of letting go when they've carried their baggage of pain and suffering for so long. Some have developed PTSD along the way and health issues that have wonderfully amazing experiences of healing after realizing that they needed help for their own problems and addressed each one of them carefully. It's not easy to deal with unhealthy current situations and prepare for future relationships, but there is hope. It involves making healthy choices, using cognitive reasoning and decision-making, and finding new ways to accomplish change. I, too, am a survivor, and that has made it easier for me to relate with those of you that have gone through mental, physical, emotional, and sexual abuse in a relationship. It's not impossible to heal, But once again, there is hope for everyone, but it takes work on your part, and you have to be ready to do what it takes to be healthy and make healthy choices. I'd like to invite you to join in this chat with questions, concerns, and ideas you may have. Go to our contact page on the website, teshuvah.outreach.com, and drop me an email or send me a text on WhatsApp. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're currently in an abusive relationship or you're a survivor of a past abusive relationship, we have a special private page just for you. I work with several groups and organizations, and this is a very special support source for you. Contact me, and I'll respond with instructions and the link to get you there. Father, I pray for the women that have to endure this type of pain, and I pray for your mercy. Please soften the hearts of those that are in supportive roles and give them the strength that they need to help, to encourage hope. Abba, we also know that your ways are just, and with every decision we make, there are always consequences. Please, Father, spare our lives and mend our hearts with courage and endurance, and equip those of us that serve to walk in your ways, guarding your commands, seeking understanding and hope, and listening without condemnation. We ask these things, Father, in the mighty name of our Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen. Ve'amen. Thank you for being here tonight. Please check the website for upcoming presentations and workshops. If the Father wills, I'll see you next week and we'll pick up right where we left off. Shalom, shalom.